Snow. So much snow. For 24 hours, it fell steadily from the sky and swirled in the furious wind. We hunkered down inside, cozy and warm, watching the snow rage outdoors. At one point, I bundled up in sweaters and a parka and attempted to venture outdoors to capture the storm. The wind blew the snow so furiously that it stung my eyes and burned my cheeks. This time of year, I struggle to feel inspired. Endless days of bitter cold have made it difficult to enjoy the outdoors, which is where I find so much of my inspiration. I try and push myself to get out, but most days, when the temperature is in the single digits and the wind is raging, I fail to make it out the door. Moments like these, when the snow is falling and the world is white, are beautiful. But days later, when the snow turns gray and dirty, it's hard to find the beauty. It wasn't long until my fingers and toes began to tingle from the cold, so I turned my efforts inward instead. There's nothing like a good snow day. It's a gift from the universe, an excuse to slow down and do absolutely nothing if you choose to. I decided to spend these uninterrupted hours finding some creative inspiration. Sometimes the best way to find inspiration is in others. Over the past few years, I've made it a rule to only follow other photographers and videographers who truly inspire me. So today, I looked to two of my favorite photographers for inspiration. They are both masters of lighting. So it was with this in mind that I set up a simple background and began to play with my lights. Lighting is one of my favorite parts of this process. Being able to master and manipulate light is a true art form. You use light to sculpt the face, create dimension, and it also creates mood. It's an essential part of any story. I ended up focusing on two types of lighting I don't get to use often: glamour lighting and my personal favorite, old Hollywood-inspired lighting. Look up photos by George Hurrell, and you'll understand why lighting is an art form. As February began, the days started to blend together in an uninspired blur. Weekdays were spent working, weeknights spent cooking and working out. And there was more snow, and ice, and wind, and bitter cold. But despite the biting wind and the stinging cold, the weekends were still reserved for exploring and looking for inspiration. And then, on one foggy afternoon, in the beginning of February, I went to visit my Aunt Kathy. My family is a huge source of inspiration for me. They are a mix of artists, musicians, and craftsmen. I wanted to capture my Aunt Kathy's art journey.
What prompted me to start painting was I was getting ready to retire from teaching, and the horizon looked pretty empty. And my sister Barbara, who'd been painting in oils and watercolor for about 12 or 15 years, said, "Why don't I take up oil painting? I probably would enjoy it." So 2 years before I retired, I started painting at home. I would copy pictures. There's nothing like being outside and painting. It's just a magical experience, and all you have to do is do it a couple of times and you're hooked. My goal for when I paint is I want to come up with a beautiful painting with the correct values, which I have a hard time with. You have to have your values right or you don't have a painting. So, you have to get your values in right away. And I seem to have less trouble with that when I use the palette knife. So this is part of my journey now. Here, I'm in the palette knife time.
Like Picasso had his blue time.
Exactly. And he's one of the people I think of all the time. What motivates me is I'm just possessed, actually. I just have to be painting. If I don't paint every day, I am miserable. Even if it's only for 15 or 20 minutes, but I have to be doing it some part of the day. I find it helps me intellectually, keeps me sharp, makes me happy. I feel like I can relax a little bit, and I have a great sense of accomplishment. Because it's so easy to get into all day being chores, grocery shopping, cooking, all those other things that you'd rather not be doing, like watching television. I hate television. What people don't know about the process of painting is very, very involved. The learning curve is incredible. Starting with drawing. I never knew how to draw. Like 12 years ago, I never drew. But now I realize, I know you have to draw every day. You have to develop that skill. People will tell me, "Oh, I don't have any talent. I can't paint." And that's not true, because it's like learning to read. You just get, the more you do it, the better you get. You have to start somewhere. And you have to not be afraid to start.
And of course, there was time for tea. I love being a part of such a creative and artistic family. I am so grateful to have them in my life to draw inspiration from. And then, finally, inspiration arrived on a warm spring-like day when I ventured out with my longtime friend Jackie, and I began to feel the familiar itch of adventure. I can't wait to share what we're working on together.